Big points for the flushers and big points for the crushers. The Vanguard's also showing they are not to be underestimated. Let's talk ball. Hi, I'm Sean McCauley. This is a View From the Bullpen, episode 2. Big week, second week. Big week. Some teams putting up huge numbers on the road. That's what we want to see. Let's just get straight into it. Potomac, Renaissance Runners. Potomac away for the first time this season. No, Potomac at home, first time this season. Renaissance Runners away. Bush and the Potomacs come out even stronger than last week. DiBondone doesn't have any answers to this early on. Could be a great place for the Potomacs to play. It's a big crowd, smaller outfield for them to cover, and we know their outfielders can cover some ground. So this could be a lot of fun at home for them this year. Da Vinci, he looks a little nervous against Bush. We know he likes to swing at the first pitch, but in this game, he's taking his time, and it's not paying off. Quick strikeout on his second at-bat too. Manages to get going by the third. He gets an RBI, but he's someone the runners need to be on form every single week if they're going to succeed in this league. He's one of their big hitters. He's someone who's going to score a lot of runs, a lot of RBIs. Didn't really manage to do that this week. Really nice stealing strat from the Commanders. Paid off early. Didn't always convert into runs, but the runners just weren't keeping an eye out. They've really got to be communicating, working together a little bit better. The only plays Bush given up early on, a few easy flyouts, completely in control, ends up with over 90 pitches again. It's another big week for Bush, someone we want to watch this year. Early bullpen, Ike comes out bottom of the third. Coach clearly saying that DiBondone doesn't have the answers. But Ike only pitching one inning last week, it's hard to know what to expect, and it's not a great start for him this week. There's a home run for 440 in the fifth. That shorter outfield playing dividends for those bigger hitters. Idoia comes in bottom of the sixth. Runners just not trusting the pen. Instead looking to fill from the bench. Not really sure what's going on over there, but there are things to figure out behind the scenes and in the clubhouse. It's just not looking good for them week 2. A 385 home run for Jefferson in the 7th. Top of the 8th before Grant comes in. Had a good game last week on the road. Gives up a couple of early hits, but I said it last week. He's got the composure to reset, get back into a game quickly. I really like the pitching team for the Commanders. They look really, really strong. Really composed. They are going to be deadly all season long. Potomacs. They win 6-3. Great game for them. Let's move on to Tuesday. We have Royals at the Slammers. Habsburg, he's back in the lineup this week. That hamstring was precautionary is what I've been hearing, and it doesn't really seem to be affecting him this week. He came out swinging. So hopefully seeing it early, getting him out was the right decision. And you know what? I think it was. First home game of the season at Big Sky for the Slammers and Thales. Having an absolute nightmare start, giving up 2 big hits immediately. The outfield was struggling early to deal with bounces off the high wall to left field. You know, when Thales gets that curve in, it looks great, but it's inconsistent. And the flushers, much like the Guillotines last week, are taking full advantage. As the game goes on, he starts to look a little bit more comfortable. Maybe it's the pressure of a new season, first home game. There's certainly a lot to think about there. But there's clearly an ability. But he shows it inconsistently. I'd be interested to find out if he can show up a little bit more often. We've not seen much of the bullpen yet. They're really trying to give Thales the room. So we don't know if they can bail him out. Because right now, they're giving him the room. They're giving him the room to fail, which could be good. It could just ruin his confidence. Bonaparte gets out to a hot start. His changeup, it's going to be causing problems all season long. I would not want to be swinging against that. Diogenes, he's swinging at everything. Pythagoras swinging at absolutely nothing. It's a pretty poor game for the Slammers, really, for their home opener. You expect to have a little bit more. We get a 403 over the high wall in the sixth for Henry Tudor. He's been a standout in this game. He was a standout last week. He's great at first base. He's launching rockets into the outfield. I think him and Habsburg on this team, they're two players that if they can stay fit, they'll push the Flushers up the table. We get a 463 for Romanov. Huge HR 421 for Prudente. Slammers go to the pen. Empedocles comes in, stops the rock, gets them out of that inning. They needed it. Okay? And what I said about them not trusting the pen, sometimes you just got to go with it. Sometimes you've got to force it. But this is kind of it, right? Is that last week we saw the same thing. Empedocles coming in late after some real big mistakes from Thales. But then he throws one in the dugout. Heraclitus comes in to see it out for the Slammers after Empedocles hits the batter, gives up another huge home run to Romanova and another to Elizabeth Tudor to the same part of the park. They just don't look good enough. They're not polished enough. They're not ready. Charlemagne comes in the eighth. Not having the best game. But the Slammers are done. There's nothing left. The game, 11-1 to the Flushers. Really, really impressive baseball from the Flushers. We love to see it. All right, let's go to Wednesday, Game 3. Nordics at the Gladiators. Boneless hitting 474 first at bat. This is what we wanted to see from the Nordics. This is what we wanted to see last week. And today, or on Wednesday, they were showing us who they can be. Probably should have made a bit more of that first inning. That's the disappointment to take away. You score a home run in the second at-bat of the game, and I'm still saying, yeah, you know what, kind of disappointed you didn't do more, right? Because that's what we expect. 396 home run for Lothrop in the second. They keep the momentum going. You know what, I want to talk a little bit about Fairhair. He's looking much more comfortable this week. Last week, I had a lot to say about Fairhair. He looks much more settled. And I think it really helped having those two home runs very, very early. Gives him the room to play a little bit. They're really solid in the outfield too. They look clinical on defense. The Gladiators just couldn't break them down. Until later in the game, there's a 379 in the sixth. It gets them on the board, which gets Fairhair out for Trigger Vassen. But he didn't have a good game last week and continued on that poor run of form. Didn't have a good game this week either. Takes until the ninth inning to see Skala Grimson, who makes it a close game. A miscuing with the catcher, some communication issues deeper into the pen for Skala Grimson. They need to figure that out because they could have lost this game. The Nordics come out so strong early. The Gladiators didn't really have an answer, and yet they still could have lost this game. Tiberius didn't really do anything wrong, but he's taken out early in the fifth for Aurelian, who immediately gives up another home run, 428. Seems to be a strat for the Gladiators. 5 innings is kind of all Tiberius seems to have in that arm. Maybe he's going to play longer later in the season. We'll kind of see if he settles in, warms up a little bit. But right now, 5th inning seems to be what they go for. Diocletian, top of the 8th. He's got a nice arm on him. Looked good last week. Doing more of the same here. Kind of keeps the Gladiators in this. None of the pitching team could deal with Ironside, though. Consistent at the plate, good base runner too. Really like the numbers that he's been putting up. Takes up until the 9th inning to see Skala Grimson, who makes it a... Oh, hang on. I already said that. I already talked about Skala Grimson. The Nordics close it out 4-3. Let's go to Thursday. Guillotines at the Vanguards. This is an interesting matchup. Similar philosophies, similar ideas on these two teams. Really different approaches to how they play, though. Vanguard's a little bit more power. The Guillotines, they're going to try and wear you down. We see early Anthony throwing a lot of balls, getting high in the count, but still not giving anything up. Definitely gets better as the game goes on. By the third, she's locked in. She's looking good. Forks, on the other hand, doing exactly what he did last week, controlling the count, setting up for a long afternoon. He's going to make them work for their numbers. Even when he makes a mistake, his outfield, his infield are going to be there to pick up the pieces. They are going to make it work. Rosa Parks hits a 450 home run in the first inning, 414 for Douglas. Huge plays for the Vanguards in this game. The Guillotines make them work, but the Vanguards know how to work. They didn't have an answer for it. Nice couple of double plays for the Guillotines, get them out of early innings they need to get away from. You know what? It's a really solid team that works hard, and they consistently show this is a team effort every week. But sometimes that's not enough when a team like the Vanguards come out the way they come out. Parks was on fire all afternoon. Robespierre swinging at way too many pitches. Zapata not getting the contact he needs to be against the right-handed pitcher. The Guillotines are getting on base, but they're not converting that into runs. And that's going to be a problem. After 95 pitches, Marshall comes in. The lefty for the Vanguards. I like the move. Coming up against Villa, Yatsen. He gives up 2 flyouts, nice and easy. Villa and Bolivar, they've been shut down this whole game. Really impressive showing for the Vanguards to shut those 2 guys down who both had a pretty good game last week. Forks plays the 8 innings as we expect him to in this league. He's averaging 10 pitches per inning, but giving up some big plays early prevents them getting back into the game. And I think when you give up the first inning homer, it puts you on the back foot, and your batters are going to start feeling the pressure. Something Forks really needs to do going forward, start showing some leadership, keep that team composed, keep them in these tough games. Vanguards win 5-0. All right. Reds at Syndicate. First game at Battery Bay at night. Beautiful ballpark. Fairground in view. You know, I like it here. I really, really like it here. The park's looking great. Props to the ground crew for prepping this field and getting it to look like this for the home opener. Easily the most beautiful park in the league. Curie's back after that dislocated shoulder last week. I'm pretty impressed that she's back so soon. She does come out in the 8th inning. Maybe need a little bit more time. Still playing 8 innings. Impressive. But we've got some big stars on the Reds. Had a great day out last week, but they need to work together a little bit more because they're conceding a lot of runs. They might be scoring a lot of runs. They're conceding a lot of runs, and that's going to be a problem. It's definitely a team that's going to out-hit you, real offensive powerhouse, whereas the Syndicate, a little bit more technical. So I really like this as a matchup. Should have been really, really fun. We get Hawking launching a 395 into the left field in the 4th, an area of the field the Syndicate needed to focus on more against the Reds. Luxembourg out in left field doesn't have the best arm, so it's something that all the teams in this league should definitely identify, force her to make plays. If you can get it deep into left, even if you're not getting a home run, you're getting at least a double, it's a place where you can start pushing some triple plays. 459 home run over the center for Mao. That puts Franklin in for Kepler. It's pretty early, top of the 6th, considering the game that Kepler was having up until that point. He was locked in from pitch 1, and his first mistake, he gets pulled. Maybe that's their strategy. I probably would have let him see a couple more batters, particularly when Marks is having such a mediocre game. He gets taken out for King in the 6th, who gets away with a couple of lucky plays. She's certainly up for the challenge in the 2 games we've seen her play this season, but she does have a tendency to fall behind quite quickly. The pace of the game taking a real toll on the Syndicate, and they start looking a bit sluggish between the bases and on the infield. Faraday's first pitches of the season. Nice fastball, managed a couple of outs with that. He's certainly hard to hit, but Syndicate win this one 6-4. Really fun game to watch. Something that we want to keep an eye on is the pacing of the game. The Syndicate, a very, very technical team, maybe don't quite have the fitness of some of the other teams. All right, let's take a little break. Let's go to our player profile. Let's look at Kepler. Okay, German astronomer, mathematician. Played a key role in the scientific revolution. Best known for discovering the 3 laws of planetary motion, which showed that planets move around the sun in elliptical orbits rather than perfect circles. He helped confirm the heliocentric model of the solar system. Using detailed observations, Kepler combined mathematics and careful analysis to explain how planets move. His ideas helped Isaac Newton develop the laws of gravity, making him probably one of the most important people in the history of astronomy. Since joining the Syndicate as a pitcher, he's a real data guy. There's no guesswork with Kepler. He studies charts, past performances, and patterns in how batters swing. He adjusts his pitches to be more accurate and harder to hit. Instead of just throwing fast, he throws smart. Kepler's data-driven approach helps him stay consistent on the mound and changes the way that other teams are going to set up against him. Let's get back to the games. Compass Crushers. Huge week for them. They're going up against the Warlords, who on paper are pretty decent. The Warlords choosing to play in their away brown shirts uniform. I reckon we're going to be seeing a lot more of that this season. At home, away, I think we're going to be seeing them playing in their brown uniform quite a lot. Although, after this performance, maybe they'll change their mind. A 450 home run for the Crushers. They're not scared about going for that high wall in right field. I talked about it last week. This could be an area of the field that lots of teams really, really struggle with, but it was not as much of an issue as I thought it would be. They didn't always make it, but they went for it a few times early in the game, showing they're not scared to play. They're not scared to go for the difficult pitches. They're going to make it hard, right? Because if they don't make it, it bounces off the wall. It's difficult to judge where it is. Stays in play. You're getting a double, you're getting a triple. Making them work for it. It's a hard area to defend, and they knew how to lock it in there. I think they're probably trying to show the Warlords that it's not going to be an advantage for them at home, particularly with Perron pitching the way he is right now. Pretty disappointing for him. Magellan had a big game at second base. Nothing was getting past him. He's got a huge glove. Huge glove. Nothing's getting over him. Vasquez, too, sending a few balls deep into the outfield, dropping a nice home run over the left wall in the 4th. They've got a great team. I really, really like the way that the Crushers set up their infield. It's really fluid. It's never stagnant. They're moving their setup for every batter. They're communicating really well. There's not an inch of that infield that's not covered during a ball game. But Perron, he does not look comfortable for 1 minute in this game. He's taken out for Videla in the 5th, and it could have been earlier, to be honest. I was thinking the 3rd, 4th inning, I would have probably taken him out. He did not look comfortable. He looked like he had no idea what he was doing. He's not having the impact that I expected. Videla also giving up a lot against the Crushers. I mean, they're a solid team. They see the gaps, and they drop the ball in it. Perron and Videla showing far too much of the ball to this team, and they're not setting up the outfield in response. They're just taking the hits and playing individual games. And you can see the frustration. They're arguing with each other. They're throwing bats. They're breaking bats. If it doesn't look good, and there's no control from the coach, this team's going to fall apart. They're going to completely fall apart. Pinochet gets his first innings, top of the 7th. I don't know if it's the pressure or if he's just not that good. But he had an even worse day than the other 2 guys. And the mistakes add up. Mussolini doesn't seem to be able to communicate with any of his pitchers. Metaxas comes in, top of the 8th. Things don't improve. It's a day to forget for the Warlords. Crushers took full advantage in the game. Plenty of stolen bases. They kept the pressure on. They saw early communication was going to be an issue, and so they kept them guessing. Add to that their incredible ability to drop balls into open space again and again and again. This was a statement game on the road for the Crushers. Grand slam in the 9th for the Crushers. The Warlords just couldn't stop the rot. We get a huge blowout. It's 16-2 on the road for the Crushers. Not the result that you want going on the road next week for the first time. So let's recap the results. Potomacs win 6-3 against the Runners. Flushers 11-1 against the Socratics. Nordics win 4-3 against the Gladiators. 5-0 to the Virtuous Vanguards over the Guillotine Swingers. 6-4 for the Spark Syndicate over the Red Scares. And 16-2 for the Compass Crushers over the Iron Warlords. Let's have a little look at the table then. So Flushers go top with Vanguards and Commanders second and third. Huge result for the Crushers, takes them up to 4th place. Reds and Syndicate in 5 and 6, not too far behind. We've got the Nordics in 7th, Guillotines in 8th, Warlords in 9th. All 1 and 1. Runners, Gladiators and Slammers make up our bottom 3, all without a win after week 2. Let's have a little look ahead to next week. Renaissance Runners back at home against the Socratic Slammers. I think they get their first win. I think this is their first win of the season. I don't trust Thales on the mound. I don't think he's going to do enough. I think this could be a really close game, probably very low scoring, but Renaissance Runners put in their first win. Potomac Commanders at home against the Gladiators. I think Potomac just look far too good. I don't think there's any chance the Gladiators win this. Okay, game 3, Royal Flushers, Virtuous Vanguards. This could be really close. These are two really, really good teams, two really hard-working teams. I think the Vanguards are going to take this one, but I think it's going to be really close, probably a high-scoring game for both teams. Yeah, I think this will be close, but I'm going to give it to the Vanguards. Nordic Nightmares at home against the Syndicate. This, you got to give it to the Nordics. They're just too powerful. I think that the technical play for the Syndicate is not going to be anywhere near enough. Guillotine Swingers at home against the Iron Warlords. You've got to give it to the Guillotines. Forks will just wear them down. Perron, Videla, nowhere near good enough. Metaxas had a horrible game at the end there. Mussolini doesn't know what he's doing behind the plate. They had an absolute disaster, and they weren't that good in week 1 either. And last game of the week, Red Scares, Compass Crushers. Two big hitting teams. I'm going to give it to the Compass Crushers on the road. I don't think the Red Scares are anywhere near good enough right now. I think maybe they'll come into this season, but right now they're 1-1. They've given up 11 runs this season. It's too much against the Crushers. I think they'll take advantage. High scoring, close game, maybe. But I think the Crushers will win this one, go 2-1. All right, that is it for this week. And I will see you same time next week. Thanks for listening.